Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pineless Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, from the Great Midwest. RDB is on the line joining me tonight in the third movie in the Hammer Horror Dracula
Mhm.
series. That would be Dracula from 1966, Prince of Darkness, that actually stars, at least in Britain's terms, Christopher Lee and not Peter Cushing.
Wait,
But
wait. We do have a Peter Cushing in this movie,
we do,
but he's
but
not,
it's only in the
and he's is billed.
so
He's just not speaking in this because it's a, like you said, it's
flashback.
a flashback sequence, which is awesome.
So here's the thing: whenever I see a TV show, I go, "Man, why can't they just hire me?" And I would sit at my home all day and record all the voiceovers saying, "Previously on Tulsa King, previously on Dracula, Prince of Darkness, previously on Landman," right? Because when I think of flashbacks, this is one of the first movies I see have it, and then from 1966, this is really good. They had to bring Christopher Lee back in. The second movie did really gangbusters. This one did well too financially. But what I liked about here, and this is something when we talk about sequels, and we've never even explained our rules for them, they're trying something a little different. The whole thing about Dracula in here that they did successfully in the first two is, even though Christopher Lee's awesome, there's a diminishing point of returns to me, where it's all about the build up to it in the final scene, and you feel it. But like I told you, this was not a first watch for me. This is one of my favorite Dracula movies, and I actually like this one almost better than the first one. And I think there's a lot of things better about it, but two key things: one, an absolutely stunning visual movie, incredible looking print, but two, how the answer that you had for me, and I said you'll know it when you see it. I love the scene of how they bring Dracula back. What did you think, sir? Give it to me.
Before we get there, I got some stills, man, because like the other one.
Be still, my gentle heart.
We got to talk about this opening little.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Seeing that's kind of cool. And then we also have here, in the background.
Yeah, this is the view that you got while they're doing the end of the first movies here, because they're not really tying it to the second.
Yeah, they get ready for the diamond cutter.
Exactly. Right. The all-seeing eye, if you're into the Illuminati New World Order conspiracy stuff.
It just feels like, if you're seeing through a magic orb, like the Wicked Witch would watch Dorothy. Yeah, I love it.
But you would see it in movies that we've yet to review on Extreme Movie Show, all the Aladdin movies and all that stuff there too, with the magic lamps and all that. There's always this kind of like smoky look to it.
So we also, not only that, we also have the title screen, which I love. It's always great having the title screen here. I love.
And again, we brought this up at the end of the first movie. I'm telling you that, in my opinion, Flash Gordon ripped this off. There's the ring there. There's the dust blowing away in the wind. Am I right? Come on.
Yes, yes. I was like, how the heck is he like coming back? He's dust. And we'll get to that, But I want to talk about we have a guy in here. Obviously, we'll quickly show here how Dracula comes back first. So the actors in this movie. Hold on. Come on. The actors in this movie. We have Barbara Shelley, who is Helen. Her husband, played by I believe is I forgot what his name is. Bud Tingwell, who plays Alan Kent. They're on vacation from Europe, from England, along with Charles. Charles Kent is her husband. I got confused a little bit because we also. Well, actually, no, wait. That's right. They're brothers. Yeah, that's why it threw me off. Okay.
Yeah, they're brothers with their lady friend.
Yeah, Francis Matthews, and with Barbara, with Helen and his wife, and then you have Suzan Farmer playing Diana with her husband, played. Actually, I had that backwards. Yeah. Bud Tingwell is with Helen, and then Francis Matthews is with Barbara Shelley. And it is just a fantastic movie in here. And I'm thinking, like, I kind of recognize some of these people in here too. And you know why? Because the main guy who's in here, who basically ends up fighting against Dracula, was also in another movie with Peter Cushing. This is his second movie with Peter Cushing, because we had The Curse of Frankenstein.
Yes.
He was the assistant, Kev. So when I get to see him in here, it's like, oh my gosh, it's him again. It's
Well,
like,
like we talked about, we've said this with Jackie Chan's group and other
yeah,
people. When you've got your small group of people that work well and you've got your system in place, you're going to see this stuff. They do it with American Horror
yeah,
Story.
yep,
Ryan does and everything else. So
yeah.
I like it.
All right. So not only that, and we have hold on a second. So they want to bring back Dracula back to life. So we're gonna get this. Dracula's being brought back to life by killing off like one of the dudes. I believe it was Alan, the brother, who went because he heard Lurch, who basically is the Dracula's butler, who's been there caretaker for 10 years, because it's been 10 years since Dracula's died. And he decides, well, I'm gonna knock. He already stabbed him in the back, and now he's gonna slit his throat like a pig.
That's them. But here's the thing about this scene. So as a
Yeah.
kid watching this, you know there's about Dracula, so you know you're going to
Yes.
see him, so you don't know who these people are. What I really liked about it was the dynamic between the two couples, because at first you think they're kind of rich, they're just touring Europe. You think they're almost a little spoiled and told, where you almost go like, fuck, I want to see them all die. But they're being reasonable, and it's just a reminder of the setup that we don't want to do things here. Some of the locals, again, they go back to the same bar that we've seen, right? And they talk about all this stuff. Well,
Same
the
bar.
interesting thing that's cool here is the guy will not take them any farther.
No.
And they're like, oh, he's just a thief. We're going to steal his whatever.
So Dracula's horse's carriage shows up.
Exactly.
And they don't. They think it's a runaway carriage. There's no one driving it. So he tries to steer it, but Charles can't. And then he takes him to the castle. And then they're in there. I think they're alone. There's a table set for 4 people. What? And they see Lurch up there, and he's, oh yeah. He's like, you know, he says like, unfortunately, my master, he's passed away, but he always had this habit. You know, he told me that if there's people here, to take them in. You know, give them a good meal. It's at nights. So we get to learn that basically Dracula is Wolverine. He can just come back from a single cell, just add water. In this case, add blood, because he was
not a smoke machine, sir.
They added ashes in there. We see him. His body's starting to form again from the blood. So it's starting to take form.
What did you think of this effect, though? I think it's really cool looking.
Well, and I remember. Well, I remember how they do these effects. They put a prop in there and then they take it out. Put another one. It's all layers, effects, cameras.
Exactly.
All stills. So then we get here. We start to see the face, and then Dracula decides pretty much comes out, and it was just kind of like nuts with this. And I was just like, okay. And Dracula's hand comes out, grabs, and then Barbara Shelley goes down there looking, or she's about to come out of the room. Lurch is out there. He's like, oh yeah, your husband. It's your husband. Come with me. She sees her husband hanging there dead, and she screams. Dracula basically then, come to me, and then doesn't say anything, and he basically ends up draining her of her blood and turning her into a vampire.
Daddy got to make Daddy a sandwich. Daddy got to eat.
Yeah. So I love that. So then Charles is like, okay, I'm going to go see what's going on. Something's not right here. Charles ends up basically going into the room here, and then he has a struggle because Dracula shows up, and we get this awesome fight again. And he makes a cross out of the sword, because first he's going to fight with a sword, but Dracula breaks sword. So then he takes the 2 swords after seeing that his wife, Diana, has a cross, and it burned Barbara Shelley's arm.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, religious symbols. So then Dracula's like, oh, shit. And then here's like, Christopher Lee does not utter a single word. He grunts. He is Conan the Barbarian.
I don't think he gets a SAG card if this is filmed in America.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't talk at all, literally.
And so they're just basically kind of like just having religious, they bring in the religious symbols in here too again. Meanwhile, in the very beginning, there was a monk who basically, during a funeral, priest was going to stake the girl because they had to make sure, that he's like, we're not going to defile a corpse. And I did not like this priest. He's like, Dracula's been dead for 10 years.
I loved him.
He just annoyed the crap out of me. But he literally comes in like, and
like a badass.
Yeah.
Come on, the guy rides up on a horse. He fires his hunting rifle. It's the only time you're ever going to see a religious warrior in that sense, because these dipshit small town people are getting ready to burn on a funeral pyre this really hot young blonde dead girl because they think she might be a vampire, and he chastises them and he calls their bluff on it. This is a strong entrance to me, sir. I thought he was one of the highlights of the movie. Because
she wasn't, her neck wasn't basically stabbed or pierced, whatever. You know what though? I would have done it anyway. After dealing with Dracula, anything's possible. But yeah, he's basically he didn't believe in vampire nonsense and all that crap, kind of make him out that way, kind of like he's from out of town. He has no authority. But anyway, he goes in the band, and he's the one that runs into them at the Ildan, and he takes down like what's this garlic, rips it down, and it's like bro, get off your high horse and go, and just I hated how like some people were high authority figures and they could just run around and do what they wanted to do back in the day, but that's the way it was. But so they go to his castle, him and Diana do, and after and they try to she gets the accident because the carriage breaks, the wheel breaks, and she's knocked out. He takes her to the monk's castle. There, Barbara kind of tries to attack her, and then they basically were able to restrain her, and they're basically gonna kill her. And I love this black and white still they had from the IMDb. IMDb has a lot of photos like this. So if you're looking
yeah.
We
talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and they end up staking her, putting a piece, and you see Charles end up in the left, and he's like, "What the heck's going on here?" So he's freaking out a little bit. So after this, we get as far as the whole thing with Dracula, he uses that advantage, with his girlfriend, whatever, new bride is being attacked, to go after Dinah, who's in there, and he calls to her and stuff, and pretty much is gonna. He ends up, which basically cuts it. This is where Christian is like, "Hey, I'm buttoning my shirt a little bit, getting a little sexy here," and then he cuts down his chest because he wants to sire her, turn her into a vampire. Something about him and hot blondes. He did that with Harker's girl fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Went after her, and so she's getting ready to just go down and the lace leg, go down and they kiss him, and then Charles calls for her. Breaks the spell, but then she faints. He carries her, flees, and they chase him and that's how they move him. Dracula kept moving Dracula's body. They had Lurch kept doing it with the 2 caskets in the back. And then, they ended up going sideways over a bridge, kind of like a bridge, kind of like as they get near it. And then I forget that it's like winter time this time, so ice is frozen over some of the lake. You know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
And
because we actually got some of the lore of what this priest initially thought that the whole
running water
thing was over and thought people were stupid about it, right?
Yeah.
But then when he finds out what's going on and gets involved into it here towards the end, he's like, yes, sunlight will do it. I don't know if he said crosses specifically because he didn't really get into the Christian stuff too much, but he's telling him at the end, running water will blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Running water. Just, going, staking in where he is in his earth, where he's supposed to be, fire. I'm like, okay. And so one of the horses it almost, the carriage is ready to teeter over the hill, and one of the constants slides out onto the ice. And they quick look in there. Him and Charles and the monk look inside the coffin, and it's actually Dinah, and she hasn't been turned yet. So he goes down to he slides down onto the lake there, the frozen over pond there. And at first, you don't even know it's even ice. It doesn't even look like it at first to me. I was like, okay, they're on some of the weird salt flat earth. Looks like they're in like Ohio, or not Ohio, but like Nevada or Utah. Anyway, and this is the second or third time he's trying to manhandle and fight with Dracula. I'm thinking like Dracula's very weak, even at full strength back in the day with Van Helsing. I think
Dracula's blood sugar is low. He just needs to feed.
He's diabetic a little bit. Anyway, so he's about to lose the strangle fight, and the girl's like, "You have a gun. Use your gun." He's like, "Won't do anything." So he's like, "Screw it." And she shoots, and then she misses and hits the ice and splits it. You see the water, and Dracula. Oh shit, running water. And then the priest is like, "Oh no, duh," and starts shooting around Dracula. So basically the ice starts breaking apart. And I kid you not, I never watched this movie before, but somehow I remember this scene, how they take out Dracula. And I laughed when I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this. I never knew what this movie was.
Right.
But they take out Dracula by making him flip the ice and go into the water below.
Love it. I love it.
And he dies.
And you roll credits because that's how you end the
movie. That's how Dracula goes with running water, taking him out. And I was just laughing my butt off. I was like, this is how it goes? I was like, I gotta admit, after watching Hard Boiled, I maybe because I watched this right afterwards, I did not like Hard Boiled. We just reviewed that on channel. It's gonna go up there later in the week. But watching this again, I didn't like it. Honestly, I think it's for me. I am a Peter Cushing fan. I need to have both. Peter Cushing, the way he delivers lines in the second movie, even without having Christopher Lee in there, made the movie what it was. Christopher Lee not being able to speak and just kind of being like more vicious, more and kind of like at that another part, he's kind of like hesitant, like he's impotent.
It's like he's a scared puppy or something.
It's like he can't get it up because
like an animal.
Yeah, he got defeated and died. So now he's like, oh shit, I have anxiety performance, I can't. And it kind of felt that way through the whole movie. And
let me say this: you're bringing up something that's an interesting point, because I think it's worth discussing here for a moment. In that, we always say the movie can only be as good as its bad guy, but that doesn't mean it's automatically going to rise to that level.
No.
And I think here with Christopher Lee, based on his performance in here, we've established that he's great, but there's a certain way that the director, Terence Fisher, wants this to go as far as, what we know, right? They revealed a bit more about the lore to it, but here's the thing. You're not wrong in your observation that our emotional center is the Peter Cushing character because he's the hero. Here we have four people that we may or may not like, and despite how beautiful the women are and how the guys might be whatever, we kind of may like or not like them. And I tend towards not liking them, although they grew on me due to their actions later on, specifically the scene you showed there with him saving his woman and all that. I appreciated that. But early on, I'm like, okay, I want to be whatever. And I know they're introducing this Mad Monk kind of character, which I liked. But he's not the main. He's just there to help out, right? So it doesn't have that central figure for you to really get emotionally invested in. So I can totally understand what you're saying, that it's, if you look at it from that perspective, you might go, But here's where the movie, I think, does shine early on. They do a great job of foreshadowing, like when the four are sitting there at the inn, and then later when they're sitting at their dinner, where the one girl just keeps like feeling like spooked out or whatever, and she says, this just still isn't right, I don't feel right. And the gust of wind that picks up, and all those candles are lit, and so they all move with the breeze and stuff. You cannot take CGI, replace it, and make it look better. I mean, you're right, this movie's a little bit more substance or style than substance in that regard, so it's not as fully good as that one. That's why I still think the first one's still the best. I
started noticing these things too, and it's like, because remember, you have to be able to film inside these stage sets in here. When the butler or whatever is putting out the candles, like you do, at church, you usually have the guy with the usher extinguishes candles at the end of service, whatever. And same thing here at the hallway, because everything's all lit. There was no electricity. Everything's all like, lit by candles. And he's doing this, and I'm like thinking like, it's still pretty much bright in there. And everywhere else, I'm thinking like, well, I guess it must have huge windows to let moonlight in. That's something I can think of. That's why it's so bright in there. That's their explanation. But I was like, because I know when it gets dark in my house, and I don't have no freaking candles on, the moonlight don't light up that much. So,
well, there were some shots that we saw early on of the townspeople bringing the girl out to where they're going to burn her, and there's a river there. And I thought, the one thing that is different that made me pay attention to this movie, that I don't know that it was intentional, but they expanded the area around the castle a bit, because these are outside shots right near a river. And actually the print is so good when you go see it that you go, wow, I think they've restored it and all that. It looks kind of modern, right? Even though it's 40, 50, 60 years ago, right? And then however, the slightly different exterior views of the castle, which I believe is the same one. The first one almost seemed like a set piece. Like I didn't know if it was real or not, because of the way they frame it, you don't see it that much. But here, when they're rushing up to the castle as it's getting dark, right? And actually, when he goes up there, what's cool here that made me like the main guy is the hero. Let me back up here, because this is when it pops out. This is when it really starts picking up. When they lose the two people and then they leave, and he goes and he puts her in the huntsman's cabin, and then goes up there on his own. Was ballsy. And when he goes up there, it's the middle of the day,
Yeah.
and it's such a striking look because we're so
See,
used to seeing it at night. And so when they go back there at the end, we've already seen this shot, not just in the first movie in the dark, but here during the day, and then they're going back here as the sun's coming over. It's an effective use of the last few minutes when they actually end up killing Dracula, how they figure out how to do it and all that too.
Yeah.
It was dramatic in that regard. It built up to a point. And I did appreciate about this movie. So, and really, frankly, knocking the dude out, hanging him up, slitting his throat like a pig, and that bright red coming out there. As a kid, that terrified me. I'm being honest with you. I thought that was
that was a lot of blood. But there's what ruined it for me, because I was like, oh, it's dirty, hairy blood. It's a cornstarch.
I don't care. It looks great.
Yeah.
And the time it takes with the smoke machine and them coming there, here's the thing. It stays with you.
But I just, like I said, for me being a comic book nerd, so when I a guy still has Dracula's ashes. The guy, so we didn't see this guy whatsoever when Dracula was killed in the begin with. So I don't know if he was out in the village doing whatever, but after his master's being killed and stuff. But he came in, he must have swept it up and then put him onto like a little urn, and then he dumps the urn into the base of the coffin. That's the tomb there, and then he basically cutting the guy's neck. The blood restores the life,
It's creepy as hell to me.
And it says Dracula cannot be killed. He's unkillable. He cannot, he can only just be stopped until he gets more blood again. And
don't forget, it would only be another movie or two before he's in a disco in the 70s.
So in Tomb of Dracula, the way Dracula is restored to life is by someone ends up getting hurt and blood, and it goes up and it drips into. At this point, he is all skeletal remains. That's all he was. And then that blood going into him basically restored him. We see this also if you watch the first Underworld movie, how they revive some Victor, who was basically sleeping. So basically he was in a comatose place. So he hadn't given any blood. So he just kind of like laid there for a while. The blood of the guy's kill above drips into his coffin, and then it wakes him early. So I kind of like stuff like that, but this was just kind of like fairly far-fetched, like the ashes reforms and stuff. I was like, this is what they did to Wolverine in the comic books, and people were so mad about this because like, great, now he's unkillable. It's just like, I don't know. But the biggest problem with this is the fact that Christopher Lee does not get a chance. He's basically kind of like doesn't get a chance to talk. I don't know if it was what the reason for that was. If he didn't want to.
I think they were just presenting him as an old animal that we're not supposed to think of him, even though he's got a human form. He's an animal, right?
So, like, the way I'm making it say, it's like if you're a clone of human, maybe they won't be able to speak. Maybe because it doesn't have the soul.
Well, they haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Brand new thing. The other one to go point out, though, the best part of the Southern movie is Francis Matthews, the guy who plays Charles. He's just a wonderful actor here. He is good.
He is solid.
He's telling Barbara Shelley.
The guy that was kind of the hero, that turned out to be the hero.
Yeah, he tells Barbara Shelley to shove it because he kept negging, by everything. He's like, oh, we hear. He's like, no, we can do this. It's like, and she's like, and back at the end, he bought 3 rounds. She's gossiping to his wife. He's like, I can't believe it. He wasted 3 rounds. They don't respect him.
Bitch.
Yeah, and this like, oh my gosh. But reading up on Barbara Shelley, she had a very interesting life. She back in 1960 in America did Village of the Damned.
Yes.
And then did this. And then apparently she died single. She met back in 1960. She met during a Doom movie something like Dave. I forget what it was. She met a guy, another actor on a movie set, and then the guy died a year later, and she was crushed, and so she basically lived alone in her childhood home until she died in 2021. Never dated, never did anything, just kind of like.
Well, the guy, I think the relationship was only for like a year or so, or something.
It was like Chandler, something like John Chandler.
Yeah, it was just kind of a tragic thing. What was interesting to me is I think the other one I looked up was married to Ian McShane. And of course, people lately would know him from there's a spin-off show on it, but the John Wick franchise. He's the one guy, and he's also from like Deadwood, right? So
the hotel manager.
Yes, So I was like, oh, because they're both very attractive women. And I will say this: when the lady got turned there, early on, the nagging one, I was glad she got turned. I thought she looked fantastic as a as a bride of Dracula in the sense of what like that. The way she held her hands and moved in her eyes and all that. I go, where's the standard for it whenever we see brides of Dracula today? They make them sexy, they make them, very voluptuous. I, as a man, that doesn't bug me, but just her essence of like being scary and sexy at the same time. It's like she's in a simple long dress flowing to you with her arms out, and you're like, oh, I know better than that. Where most people focus on the sexuality rather than the danger aspect to it. But when she opened her eyes and had those cheap plastic teeth, I mean, it's like, it works, man. And this is something that CGI cannot replace. Look, you mentioned earlier, and Princess was mentioning in the chat here about the hard-boiled film or whatever like that. I say it's a significant film, and I understand why people like it. I explain why I'm not crazy about it in there. But one of the things that we both applaud, and that's why we like a lot of action films, is we like the practical effects and the stunt work. Gun stuff takes that away, right? When you're looking at a horror movie like this, I want violence. Okay, you can be creative with your violence and try to freak me out and gross me out about it. But when I see it again, it's not going to have the same effect. But every time you watch a movie like this, you get the paranoia at the beginning, you get the sense that something's wrong in the bigger world. So it's in your brain, and it makes you kind of feel it before it happens. And that's the whole point of what horror is supposed to do. It's supposed to let you build it up and then be scared at the end, not force it upon you.
For me, it was kind of like I wanted the other guy to have more of a part in the ending of Dracula, the monk. He just was kind of like a scholar, like an basic guy. He just like, according to this day sacred text, you do this. Okay, thanks, guy. And like, hey, remember this gun? I always care because you never know when I might need it. Thanks, guy. He's like Steve Buscemi and Wedding Singer.
Well, they did. I mean, the writing is good enough, but it's not like they're world building. They're going, hey,
no.
We just need to get Christopher back here. This is a good franchise. We need to milk it. And let's be honest, at this point, how many more sequels have really been done in a lot of major film franchises? Not many. And again, this is Hammer's doing it.
Ignoring the second movie? That's what I want to know. It kind of felt that way. There's no mention of Van Helsing or even the Baron Meinster,
True.
None of that mentioned in here whatsoever, because it says like it's been 10 years since the first movie. Like but obviously there was other vampires we saw with Peter Cushing's and the Brides of Dracula.
Yep.
Came out in like in 1960. Yeah. So I was like, there was no mention of that. So I was like, is this a reboot, a direct sequel? But it's like, my question is, does Peter Cushing come back for the fourth one?
Easy way to answer that.
I would hope so, and because it's kind of what irked me a little bit too, because I was like, all right, we had Peter Cushing without Christopher Lee, but I learned that I didn't need Christopher Lee because Peter Cushing was that great of an actor. I watched this, and it was just like a neutered version of the first movie of Christopher Lee's acting, and I was like, the one thing that makes Dracula, the very first one, so great because you have Peter Cushing playing off of Christopher Lee and vice versa, like they do in all the other movies.
I agree with you.
And when you take that away, it's like Peter Cushing was able to hold his own against somewhat laughable villain. But it was actually, like I said, it was Francis Matthews who actually stole the movie for me. The way he acted, how charming he was. He's like, oh, don't worry, we'll be fine. Let's go here. What's the worst could happen? Boo, scary. And he ends up like learning and having to go against Dracula. And like you said, he when he first meets Dracula, he has no idea what's going on. He's like, what? A vampire? Whatever? He takes a sword off the wall. I'm going to fight you. And Dracula just snaps in half. And he's like, it doesn't click until he has to do the cross, until after his wife's cross, causes that big thing. And then after that, it's like, it goes to the monk. It's like, oh shit, I guess Dracula is back. You got, I'm waiting for like it would have been better if the monk, it would have not have been a monk. It would have been like an old guy who's drunk. And he's like, oh, you stupid kids. Now I have to come and help you. And then he dies. Like you, because that's how it is like in the American slasher movies. The guy, he's like always the old guy. And he ends up like biting it at the end. And he's like, don't worry about me.
Well, that's the legacy. I've passed on what I can to you. That's like the life.
Yeah.
That's that type of character.
But
right?
we didn't get that in that. And I was like, that would have been better. The monk,
Well, here's the thing, to answer your question, obviously Christopher Lee wasn't back there. He's in all the rest of the movies except for technically the last one, which I haven't even seen, The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Like I say, there's always usually a drop off in quality in sequels for whatever reasons. And so you can like the fact that they try and do different things, or like the performance. I agree with you. The performance really stood out to me. I appreciated it. But when you talk about the next one, Dracula's Risen from the Grave, then Taste the Blood of Dracula, then Scars, and then Dracula AD. I watch him because I'm a fan of horror, and I can't stop watching Christopher Lee because he's very magnetic. Peter Cushing's in the last 3 movies, but he's not in the next 3. So it's hit or miss when it comes to these things.
So next one is Taste of Dracula, followed by Smell of Dracula.
Taste the Blood of Dracula, Scars of Dracula, Dracula AD 1972, which I think that's the one where
Dracula dead and loving it.
No, but here's the thing. You know, you're almost 20 years between movies, right? Yeah. Maybe 15. So how do you modernize it? Well, what's modern at the time? Disco, early 70s, you know, all that kind of thing. That swinging singles bachelor pad kind of that we would always talk about with our Mission Impossible show, the young 20-something Professor Pixel and I.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, we got to get Dracula in a disco. How do you do it? I don't know. That's your job as a writer. Go fucking figure it out, right? We got Christopher Lee. Don't fuck it up. Go make us money.
Son of Dracula.
No, it's just the occult became more mainstream in the 60s and 70s, and that's so they kind of crossed over to it.
But the way I this is the way I look at it, and I don't know if anybody else can see that. When I look at Christopher Lee as Dracula, he kind of comes off like an older version of like Anthony was it Anthony Garcia or Andy Garcia from back in the day. Like, you know, he has the same kind of facial features, kind of like a Dean Martin kind of thing. Going. He looks cool. If he's not playing Dracula, Christopher Lee looks like a cool dude to hang out with, you know?
Absolutely.
He's incredibly got that European kind of like look, you know, like they used to have in the 50s and the 40s and all the guys, you know, Dino and all them. So I said, like, when I see him, it's like, this is the guy who literally could. I want to watch. He's got to have some movies where he's not Dracula, or did he just do Hammer films the whole entire time?
Oh, he's done plenty.
I know, because I know everyone's like, well, that's the guy from Star Wars. I'm like, okay, he has one role in Star Wars, but I liked him in Dracula, and
he was in the second Howling movie from 1985. Was it Your Sister's a Werewolf or something like that, or whatever? Because that was a franchise too, and he was at least in one of those. Yeah, he had a bit of a renaissance in the 80s, which led into him being Lord of the Rings, which I think a lot of younger people recognized him.
Yeah,
I can't help but be entertained by these things, though. You know,
I forgot he's the Bond villain.
It's the Man with the Gold Gun, 1972, I believe. Yeah,
yeah.
And he's really, honestly, one of the best. I mean, Bond villains. Just the way he carries himself in that film is phenomenal. I go, God, there's Dracula talking to Bond. He's going to whack him. And what was so cool as a kid was not just a gun that whatever. It's a guy who's a professional and he's a human. He's not like in some of the other Bond films where they go, he's a megalomaniac where he wants to rule over the world. And you don't feel scared at all when he's sitting down with Bond after having shot, you know, the lady in the forehead, and they're there at the kickboxing tournament. And he's talking. He's like, fuck, that's just creepy as hell. And he told you how to live big pimpin' style because he had his private island and he had his own guy and he had the champagne and he was really good at what he did. And he didn't come across as like the world needs me, blah blah blah. No, totally all about himself, all of me. And you're like. In the 70s, you could get that. You could understand that.
Scaramanga, was that his name? Was Scaramanga, or is that the other one? Scaramanga, yeah.
There was a really great movie that, because you're liking Christopher Lee, you're really liking Peter Cushing, that I've always said we should review here on the Extreme Movie Show. Ooh. It's called Horror Express, and basically it's him and Peter Cushing on a train.
Yeah,
something happens. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
he was in The Wicker Man also.
I'm also looking at The Devil Rides Out. Christopher Lee.
He's in a lot.
I know. Look at
really.
He's in Police Academy. Forgot about that.
I did too.
He's in Three Musketeers. I wonder if he's like the Cardinal. You know what? The one I want to watch. It's not really a horror movie, but it's just a Hammer film. The Hound of Baskervilles.
Yeah, he did play. Whatchamacallit?
Moriarty?
No.
Because Sherlock Holmes is Peter Cushing. I thought well, then who is Peter Cushing's character?
Would be the Doctor, I would think. I could be wrong on that.
We'll look it up.
You
'Cause
can, you can
I've
fact
heard-
check me on that, sir. But if I
Yeah.
recall correctly, he's actually
the face of
um,
Fu Manchu.
like, now, for those of you listening, I highly recommend you if you have any interest at
Yep.
all. A lot of people put their
Yep.
own variations on Sherlock Holmes. Even Charlton Heston did a version, which I think is not bad. But the TV series from Granada, to me, is the gold standard when it comes to that. That's not a knock on anybody else that's done them.
No.
But Sherlock Holmes is like Dracula, like Universal. It's in the public domain where you can do those kinds of things with it. So I highly recommend you guys take a look at it. Of course,
These are also
Chris and I have reviewed the entire series episodes, seasons 1 and 2 of it. We're going to do the rest next year. Love it. Think it's fantastic with it. Did you find it, sir?
I did, and he Christopher Lee is Sir Henry Baskerville.
So he's not, and so you are
Peter Cushing.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes. Because I was looking at that, I was like, for what movie I want to do, for this week, and I was like, then we settled on Prince of Darkness. Figure running on Halloween, but I was like, Hound Baskerville looks really cool. And it's got Andre Morel as Dr. Watson. John Lee Monsieur is Barrymore. Then Marla Landy. I'm not sure. Like I said, and this is from 1959, so this came out the same year as Dracula. So they had two freaking back-to-back Hammer movies in that year with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. That's really cool. And for those who are wondering, a lot of Hammer movies are on Tubi right now. They're free with ads, but if you have an ad blocker watching their PC, it skips the ads. And I said these are just great movies. Watch them on Tubi while they're still there, because you never know when they will go off and not be on there, and you have to go try to find a collection.
Sometimes you'll see them on other ones. It just depends, and sometimes they regurgitate some.
I looked out.
Apps.
I wish Hammer would do this. I have to look it up, but I mean, I ended up getting all 30 classic movies of the Universal one at Walmart, $60. So I was able to get this, and I want this to be a Hammer too. So I'm gonna have to look online and see if Hammer has a collection like that box.
They do. It's called the Hammer Film Collection.
I hope that's not out of print, because it's gonna be like $200 or more, probably. Crazy, but like I said, I've been looking forward to doing some more of these. And Hammer, we've said this before, Hammer just knocks the pants off. It's better than anything that Universal's done,
in my opinion.
Yeah, my favorite Universal movie is probably Frankenstein, followed by The Invisible Man. Wolfman's okay, I like the soundstage, but the overall story, I like the Benicio del Toro 2010 movie is better.
Christopher Lee was in The Wolfman, remember, from 2010 or 9 or whatever, with Benicio?
Yeah.
And what was cool in there was, I think the cane was the original one from back in the Universal thing, because that's just a badass wolf kind of cane or whatever that.
Yeah, it sucks because Christopher Lee would die 5 years later.
Yeah.
2015.
He was like
1922 when he was born. So yeah, he was just born. Wow. But final thoughts. Like I said, it's still a good movie. It's if you have not, or if you're watching these, like I am, I've been watching these in reviewing order. Watch this film. It's so great because, like I said, there's not many Christopher Lee films out there that are Dracula related. He only did like 6, I think, or 5. Mm-hmm. And check them out. They're free on Tubi. Why not? They're not that long. And the great thing about this, you get to see. I was talking about this before. The title font for all of these things, I love them. This is, you have I love this font here they use here, and then it's a little it's a painting. There's no way it's a little prop. I thought maybe
it's a matte painting.
Yeah, and then of course they go into the Dracula Prince of Darkness thing. I thought that's so great and stuff. And I said, it's just fun. All these scenes here, look at the. You're pausing it. This is Dracula's house. They must be him up there and the painting up there behind Dracula.
Mm-hmm. They show his coat of arms in here too.
His coat of arms. Yep. It's sweet looking, nice chair, velvet chair. Just mm-hmm. What it is, and just like the little just other things, knickknacks he had in here. And it's just fun. It's a very good movie, and like I said, it's free to watch, and it is absolute cinema. So.
I'll say this: the main guy that turned out to be a hero at the end of the movie, something was bugging me about him, because I go, he's reminding me of something else. And it wasn't until I finished the movie that he reminded me of somebody else.
Chris Frankenstein.
No, I know you brought that up, which is, I think, is a great connection. But I'm talking, there's the way people talk, and then there's the way their voice sounds. Then there's their mannerisms. So combining some of those things, you can usually, imitate somebody or whatever. But this guy almost slipped into, he almost acted and sounded and reminded me with his countenance a little bit earlier on, like Cary Grant. And I don't mean that.
Oh, you know what? I was watching that too. Yeah, he does. He has Cary Grant and Charade.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the way Cary Grant sometimes gets in that mode where he's like being like the old school teacher, like pointing out stuff like that when he gets kind of stern. And it's the scene where he had bought the guy some drinks and he goes back and this woman's kind of getting on him a little bit. And he's like, "Now I know that they do that. This is for my own sake." And da 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 da. And he's putting his hand on his pocket. I'm like, they're all cultured from a certain sort of school.
Yeah.
So a lot of times those manners that you're taught creep in, or that's a part of your role. Michael Caine mentioned this in a movie that he did where he had to play like this high-level general. So the entire movie, he's like standing holding his hands behind his back. And I'm often reminded of that because you and I, being old school wrestling fans, I could bring up the name Sir William Regal. He would walk around with his hands behind his back and he would take the one in front, kind of hold it up. And you automatically, that's the snooty uppity pose. And you don't know why, but you just know you want to beat that guy up, right? That's old school heel heat, right? So really good acting in here. It's a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it a lot. I like to watch these Hammer films every year. It puts me in a mood.
There is one trilogy that he did for Hammer that no one really talks about because he'd be canceled today. You know what I'm talking about. Fu Manchu trilogy. Christopher Lee was Fu Manchu.
Man, that's a tough watch.
The Face of Fu Manchu, 1965. Then he came back in 1968 with The Blood of Fu Manchu, and then The Castle of Fu Manchu in 1969.
Those are hard watches, bro.
Really? I would, even for Christopher Lee.
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I'll just say this, but The House That Dripped Blood, 1971. Yeah, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee.
Take my money.
The House of the Long Shadows, 1983. That's one of the final ones he did.
Take my money.
Yeah. Like I said, he was in The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
He did a voice of that. He was did some voice acting. But Horror Express, 1972.
Horror Express is tremendous.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that. If you want to do the Hound of Baskervilles with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, a Sherlock movie, that's not a horror film. We could do that, or we could do Horror Express, or like I said, my other pick would be like Taste of Fear.
We shall see. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and listening here on the Extreme Movie Show. Thank you for retweeting the links out, letting other people know that we exist so we get a bigger forum for our audience here. We really appreciate that. We just have fun watching films, talk about them. I think, Verity's actually aghast that we would have anything other than an A+ review for Hard Boiled, but we talk about some of the things, and the longer you listen to us here on the Extreme Movie Show and you realize some of the themes that we talk about, you have, I think, a center where you can kind of see where we're coming from and relate it to that. So I think it's a very influential film.
Watch the video and
watch the video. Let us know what you think about it. And while you're there, even though we did it offline, we go into these themes that we talk about because things have changed, and the theme of Hammer horror that people forget with haunted houses and everything else is they sexed it up. Universal did and could not do that. That's very important because if it wasn't for Christopher Lee sexing it up, you're not going to have Dan Curtis doing it in Dark Shadows. You're not going to have the late 70s version of Dracula that modernized it and everything else that's current today. So there's seeds of these things that we do talk about as well.
Professor Pixel, I keep telling him Peter Cushing is better than Peter Vincent.
Absolutely, without question. He's based off of this. He's based off of this character.
Peter Vincent has that tone voice, that's great and stuff, but Peter Cushing
better than anything a Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Good night now.
Dr. Cushing. That's what I say. All right, guys. Later. We'll see you on Tuesday for Tulsa King, episode 6, I believe. Right? I think.
Sure. Whatever the next one is.
Whatever the next one is.
7, I think. But who's counting?
That'll be at 7 p.m. No.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Eastern. That's right. Yeah. It
7 p.m. Central.
These Sundays throw me off every single time. I'm like, wait, I have to look the channel. Which one are we live? Later, guys.